A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold.
The date was August 6, 1945. The Second Great World War has been raging on for almost 6 years, and the last one standing of the once powerful Axis powers is Japan, a country that holds strongly onto its traditions, a country that refuses to surrender even if it means resorting to suicidal kamikaze missions. The Allies are desperate for a way to quickly push Japan into surrender without resorting to a ground invasion, an action that would cause them even more devastation. They needed an alternative, one that would protect their soldiers and would act in their best interests, and the United States' journey to create a weapon unlike any other gave them the alternative they were all hoping for. However, could the actions of America's fatal solution be justified? During the course of the war, America had been extensively researching the creation of one of the most daring projects of their time. A weapon capable of such colossal damage, the scientists who envisioned it couldn't even fathom the effects it would conjure. In 1939, scientists who fled Germany gained knowledge of something peculiar. Germans had found a way to split atoms. They were on the verge of creating a deadly weapon. The United States needed to get a hold of this power and find a way to exploit it as a weapon before the Germans could. This was the beginning of the infamous Manhattan Project. Throughout the years of this massive top-secret experimental process, scientists were able to create two versions of their weapon. One made of the more easily accessible plutonium, and the other made of the harder-to-produce uranium. One test had been conducted. Trinity, the plutonium gadget, was dropped from a metal tower. It was successful. They had done it. President Truman had a tough decision to make throughout the process of the Manhattan Project. Use this weapon of mass destruction on a civilian city, or possibly face a massive ground invasion into the country of Japan. His advisors had laid out a list of numbers. If a ground invasion were to take place, hundreds of thousands of more American soldiers would meet their tragic end. Another matter weighing heavily on their minds was the fact that Japan wouldn't give up the fight easily. They were desperate to keep their traditional emperor system the way it was. The United States also knew that Russia was on the move. What if Russia swooped into Japan and had won a victory? Would Russia claim the territory left behind by Japan theirs? This would only result to more conflict. The decision was made. They would drop the bomb on Japan. Early morning on the island of Tinian, pilot Paul Tibbets Jr. and his crew prepared for the most audacious mission of their life. They load the uranium bomb, dubbed the Little Boy for its relatively small size, into the bomb bay of the Enola Gay, a B-29 flying fortress. Because scientists could not produce enough uranium-235 needed for the bomb, only one had been made, meaning they had no idea whether or not their beautifully disastrous creation would even ignite. At 2:45 a.m., the mission officially began. One of 3 Japanese cities would become the target of a weapon unlike any other, the first to suffer the wrath of man's most deadly creation. On this morning of August 6, 1945, Hiroshima, a beautiful city bustling with life and filled with thousands of people, had wonderful weather. There wasn't a cloud in the perfectly blue sky. To most people, this is a good thing. Good weather brings forth a good day. But despite its normal peaceful intentions, it became a dreadfully horrible omen. Hiroshima was a city known for its great education and military bases. It held incredible amounts of usefulness to the Japanese military. This is why it was one of the 3 different cities within the sights of the Little Boy. The people of Hiroshima had suspicion that something larger than any other bomb seen before was awaiting them, but nothing could prepare them for the events awaiting their future. When the people gazed into the bright sky, something shined in the light of the sun. An American plane, most citizens could tell. No Japanese plane could ever achieve such an altitude. Most survivors would describe the plane they saw as beautiful as it flew alone across the empty skies. However, inside that beautiful plane's cockpit, the crew of the Enola Gay felt a different atmosphere. Little curiosity was felt. Anxiousness trumped their emotions. What would become the outcome, the consequences of the day's events? The Little Boy had been armed. It was awaiting its release. The plane quickly approached its target, the famous Ioi T-shaped bridge, a target easily identifiable from 30,000 feet in the air. Once the bridge was in sight, the Enola Gay's bomb bay swung open. The half-ton bomb is released. 45 seconds after the bomb is released, it ignites, sending a powerful enriched uranium bullet shooting down a gun-like barrel into an enriched uranium target. On impact, atoms split, creating a violent process of nuclear fission so mighty it releases unheard of amounts of energy. This energy manifests as an intense fireball miles wide. The fire was so immense that it emits a light so bright it vaporized any living thing within a short distance of ground zero. Everything flammable for up to a 12-mile radius is instantly lit into a burning inferno. The flames so hot that even steel succumbs to its strength. Within a second, 2 massive shockwaves blast through the city of Hiroshima, turning every building, every object, every piece of glass into deadly shrapnel. The effects of the little boy were catastrophic. An estimated 70,000 people were killed within the first few seconds of detonation. Thousands more died due to severe burns and radiation. Any person who survived the initial blast of the bomb was left with a brand new world of destruction. The results are so devastating that very little of the information collected would be shown to public until several years later. So why resort to this disastrous middle nightmare? America had many things to consider, and in the end chose the best route. To truly understand America's reasons for dropping the little boy on the civilian city of Hiroshima, you must see the situation from their eyes during that time. The war was continuing on almost endlessly. Italy and Germany had already surrendered. Now only the small, weakened country of Japan is left. However, this hardy, stubborn country does not plan on giving up anytime soon. They plan to fight even if there's only one man, woman, or child left standing. Millions of lives on both the Allies and the Axis powers have been lost. Millions of dollars have been spent. The whole world is restless to see this bloody war come to an end. If America did not drop the little boy, and eventually the fat man, a ground invasion would have been inevitable. So many thousands or even millions of more American families would be dressing in black in front of a cold, lifeless coffin. More children would be fatherless, wives would become widows, more economic problems would surface, everything would become more dire. Another thing to consider is if the fact that Japan did fight until there's absolutely nothing left, who would claim that empty territory? This would potentially lead to another catastrophic war. The Cold War might have not been so cold. America was doing what any country would have done, protecting itself. Any country will keep its own safety before another's, especially if it is the enemy. America acted in what it believed to be theirs and the world's best interest. In the end, you could say America saved Japan, and helped made it the successful, beautiful country it is today. But we must not forget the consequences of our actions, and let our dangerous creations of man forever lay unused.